Hi, I'm Denise Dryden. I'm so glad you're joining me today. It's the end of April, and man, there's a lot going on out there. And so today I want to talk about endings and beginnings and how to create those, right? Because we're in that window, that in between the two eclipses, April 19th, 20th, depending on where in the world you were, and May 5th, which is this Friday, or 6th, depending again where you live, right? And so it's shaking up, and the term that I've seen through the astrologers, through the those that are talking about this, is that there's a lot of endings and beginnings. And during this eclipse time, this 2-week window, it's that space, that liminal space where nothing's working, and we're being told that some things could work better, but we don't know what that is, and we're sort of floating, right? And there's a lot of swirling energy. And I've noticed that there's overwhelm, there's high emotions, there's busyness, there's kids that are so anxious for the end of school, and to be done with school. And so it's sort of like dealing with, well, that wasn't a very productive, or it was a very stressful year. What are we going to do next year? And we may have some issues with our physical bodies, right? And there's one piece, y'all know that I talk about Chiron, and Chiron saddled up next to Mars, conjunct side by side. Now, Mars is a fire planet that's kind of like willpower, right? Right off of the right shoulder, willpower. What are you going to do? How are you going to do this? How come this isn't working? And in your face. And Chiron is, if you're not ready to talk about where your wounds or your hurts are, your triggers, it is a very activating time for the best of us, right? And so I have a little bit of a personal story to share with you, which is I live in Whitefish, Montana, which has been determined as one of the best places to move to get a second home, to go visit, blah, blah, blah. So over the last 5, 6, maybe even 10 years, we've seen this enormous growth in people coming in and buying houses second homes, for Airbnbs. And what's happened is it's raised all of the prices in the town, which is does it's straight across the board in every mountain town, every resort community in our country, right? Because rentals are money, and that seems to be a product of the greed that exists. And I'm saying greed on purpose, because what happens is the service industry, and those people who, like myself, like these little tiny, units over the garage, or something that are not expensive, have now been chased out. My rent has more than doubled, and I've been wrestling with this sweet little one bedroom I have with these great views, and yet it's expensive. It's more expensive than anything I've ever paid for rent, and it puts pressure. And what it does is it puts pressure on me to create an income, which then I'm sending out meme after meme, like, "Hey, come do some coaching with me." And I didn't like that cycle. And I also noticed that there was a lot of internal agitation. I have rashes across my chest. I've got digestion issues, and there was some irritability as each financial mark came up. And I chose not to renew on May 31st, which means that I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what the next step does, but I just made some space for something else to happen, because what I needed to do was create the freedom, and I had needed to reduce the stress, right? So I feel a lot healthier and lighter. And I'm wondering if there are some things that you may have been doing over this last week and a half, because we're just just 10 days into a 14-day eclipse cycle, right? Because what we need to do is we need to clear things out. We need to end things so that new things can begin. We need to clear some things out to make room for them, which means that we need some open space to decide. Now, I love the Marie Montessori concept of a space for everything and everything in its space, because what that means to me is that there's there's an intentionality around selecting what I'm going to do, where I'm going to do it, what I'm going to choose to do with my money, what I'm going to choose to do with my things. They go where they belong. And then I know that when I want to create some space, I have to make some decisions about what needs to leave, right? Because We're in vast times of changing. Like our world is changing, our lives are changing, our bodies are changing. And so what we're doing is we're recalibrating, we're realigning, we're recreating, and we're also removing, right? We are removing so much. So we have to find ways to accept and welcome change. How is that going to happen? What's it going to look like? Whether it's our financial commitments, with our schedules, our consumption, our physical body weight, our low energy, our overwhelm, something's got to give because the old is just sort of holding us in space. And, I've worked several times with family systems that are just burdened with schedules or too many things to do, or houses that are overpacked and over cluttered, and there just seems to be this tightness, and there's past, oh, I can't let go of that, that belonged to my mother, or I have to do this because that's what my degree is in. And so what happens is these parts of our past come in and they take up a lot of room with our mental stories, with our emotional reactions, with our spiritual confusion, with our physical over or under management, and it stifles our freedom. And if we don't have freedom, we don't have the ability to go, wow, that looks like a great adventure over there. That is something that I want to do. We have no ability to move because we're cemented, we're stuck, right? Now, the other thing that happens with our past is that, well, we have our past, but then we have this future, which we can get stuck in the future too, which is we start worrying about the things that we're seeing. Ah, this business is closing, this is ending. Ah, that person, the relationships are ending. My parents are getting divorced, or the neighbors, or our best friends are getting divorced. We're seeing people we love passing, whether it's in our immediate family or celebrities, and it just keeps putting this pressure on, like something's going on. Things are ending. We're dissatisfied at work. Our finances are not keeping up with the rate of inflation and growth, and it's putting an enormous pressure on our bodies. So we can do this with our head up in observer mode and embrace it and partner with it and go like, you know what? I'm cutting it off now. I'm closing this and I'm going to open up some freedom and some space so I could go elsewhere. Or you can have a surprisingly difficult time when you ignore it. Make no mistake, I knew almost 4 months ago that I needed to get out of this financial commitment with this place, and the longer I ignored it, the more of the symptoms that came up within my body. So, we all know that that's happens when we ignore, right? So, part of what I do in coaching is that I'm really good at making space and trying something new and exploring it and actually experimenting with it, playing with it, doing it. And then turning around and saying, hey, this is possible and here are the ways that we do this, and then implementing some real solid tools and skills on what you can do to learn how to create space, how to create inner knowledge, how to make deep changes. So this 7 week, find it on my website, is a coaching package. And looking for is for those of you who are really, you know, ready and like I'm captured by this idea that you want to create some freedom and some space and less agitation, less reactivity, and you want some support with that because that's something that I love to do. And it's something that I love to share because it's just problem solving or solution building in areas of energy, which is my favorite thing to do. So, little blurb to consider coaching with me if that's something that you're interested in. And I've got 5 tips for you, okay? So you're in it, right? We're all in it right now. So what's happening is already happening around you. This isn't something that's coming, something that, oh, well, I don't know if that's possible. We're already in it energetically. We're dismantling institutions. We're dealing with untruths. We're dealing with misalignments. So we can explore and notice where we're having fear, where we're having trepidation, where we're stuck, where there is a reaction in it. So the first tip is to pay attention is to acknowledge I'm already in it. And now start paying attention. Where am I grabbing a hold of things that I'm afraid of? Where is my body in reaction? Number 2, harness. and manage these worries and these fears. Identify them, list them out. It's one thing to go, I feel so much pressure. It's another thing to say, I'm going to really identify how much I'm actually spending on this housing, right? And you face it, and then you decide what you're going to do with it. So some of the other things are like, in May, you realize how much your kids maybe hated school and it didn't work, and you were holding your breath, and it was a lot of work just to get them through the school year. Another one might be that your job has become more demanding and you're doing more and more work and you're not getting the financial compensation that is necessary for the amount of time that you're being asked to put in. Another one is that your marriage or your main relationship, right, has been off, not just for a little while, but for a long time, and that you have all these deep coping mechanisms because it's too hard to figure out what you want to do with that. So what we do is we harness it, we manage it, and we look at it and we go, so this is the reality. This is the map in front of me, right? And then number 3 is that we allow endings. We allow things to go so that we can renegotiate our daily life and make room for new people, make room for new careers, make new room for new talents and skills to be explored. Um, it allows us to take things that have been so difficult and to alleviate them and just let them end. Right. Number 4, create those beginnings, right? Whether it's go after the flavor of life, go after be persistent, go do exactly what you want to do, what you love to do, what you've thought about doing for your whole life. It's time to expand and allow something to excite you. We all know how to endure. We all know how to stay stuck. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of um, um, clarity to allow beginnings to happen when the door opens. And what the term that is the most beautiful one that I use on a daily basis is follow the energy. If the energy's stuck, you're stuck. If the energy is pulling you over in this direction, go there, and then anchor these new things like, I want to do that. I want to do this. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go this way. And so you're sort of like putting little markers in a path. Number 5, of course, last one always is to have compassion. We're dramatically changing absolutely everything in our life, everything. So we have compassion for what it's like to let go. We have compassion for what it's like to have to say goodbye to people we've built lives with, or we thought that we would work there forever, or that, our whole life has to change because now if I homeschool or if I'm doing more creative education, I can't work the same hours that I used to work, right? Have compassion for what you're going through. And at the same time, have compassion for the fact that everybody else around you is going through these same kinds of things. So we soften, right? And we allow ourselves to nurture and support ourselves and other people who are going through it at the same time. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. And if it has, drop me a message here, or you can also message me through my website. If you're interested in coaching, by all means, contact me. If there's concepts you want to share or talk about with me, by all means, give me a message as well. You have a great Sunday, and I will see you on the other side of this eclipse. You take care and get outside. Bye.